I'm Chris Lawrence with your top stories in North Texas. Work is underway to select a jury in the Frisco track meet stabbing trial. Carmelo Anthony is charged with murder in Austin Metcalf's death, and senior crime and justice reporter Rebecca Lopez brings us up to speed on the opening day.
This is one of the most anticipated trials in North Texas. For months, people have debated on what happened at that track meet between Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf. But beginning today, the focus has shifted to finding 12 jurors that can set aside everything that they've heard and judge this case on the evidence alone. 600 potential jurors were called to the Collin County Courthouse as jury selection got underway. Carmelo Anthony is charged with murder in the death of Austin Metcalf. About 50 potential jurors were excused during the first day of proceedings, leaving roughly 550 people to complete detailed questionnaires. Judge John Roach repeatedly stressed the importance of fairness and impartiality, reminding jurors they must decide the case solely on the evidence presented in court. At one point, the judge asked the panel, "Would you want you sitting on this jury," telling them that people's lives depend on the decisions made in the courtroom. The remaining questionnaires will be reviewed Tuesday as attorneys work to narrow the jury pool to about 250 people before individual questioning begins Wednesday morning. The judge also warned jurors not to discuss the case or conduct any outside research, reminding them violations could result in contempt of court penalties. While a handful of demonstrators supporting both Anthony and Metcalf remained outside the courthouse, none appeared to enter the courtroom today during Monday's proceedings. A jury is expected to be seated on Wednesday. Opening statements are expected on Thursday morning. And of course, we're going to bring you all of the details throughout this entire trial, which is expected to last 2 weeks. In Collin County, I'm Rebecca Lopez. Back to you.
The residents of the Clyde apartments are trying to recover after their homes were destroyed in an explosion. Kevin Reese shows us what's being done to help them and some new details on drilling at the complex before the blast.
Some of the residents displaced by the apartment explosion were given shelter at this Dallas hotel, and Monday morning began the move to new apartments, 6 months rent-free, provided by Austin Street Center.
I'm steady waking up thinking that it's not what it is, but it's real.
Aaliyah Montana included, but without her 2 dogs that died in the explosion and fire.
There'll be a couple of households that are moving in today, the majority of which will happen over the course of the next week.
Monday, work crews were still repairing the ruptured gas line, and a clearer picture emerging of what happened. Records from Texas 811 show that ECS, Engineering Consulting Services, got clearance to drill soil tests at 4 specific GPS locations. These 4, including the one in front of the Clyde apartments. This is a picture of one of those drill locations in an adjoining parking lot, patched with asphalt and clearly marked ECS. At 12:57 p.m. Thursday, a nicked gas line with leaking gas was reported, with Barba Drilling identified as the drilling contractor.
Well, depending on what they find, it could be anything from simple negligence to criminal negligence. Generally not a single failure that leads to something like this. There's still a lot of questions to be answered.
I mean, we just have to carry on.
Alta DeBose and her husband get their new apartment on Friday, but returned to the neighborhood today to see if any of their 5 dogs and cats survived. A neighbor says their gray tabby named York escaped. Meanwhile, they wanted to thank the public.
It's sweet. It makes me emotional because I didn't know there are that nice people out there, that people who actually care about someone you don't even know.
And who will be blamed for this deadly disaster, that's what they'd like to know too. In Oak Cliff, I'm Kevin Reese.
James Tellerico campaigned in North Texas Monday, the final stop on his 5-city bus tour. As the race heats up with Ken Paxton, both parties are talking about the other's vulnerabilities. Here's senior political reporter Jason Whiteley.
Yeah, you'll see those vulnerabilities exposed in campaign ads later this summer. Abraham George leads the Republican Party of Texas, and he told me that the RNC, the Republican National Committee, is projecting $600 million could be spent in this state between now and November. $600 million, a staggering amount of money, unprecedented in Texas politics. It will be used to define the other guy and defend your own. Republicans overwhelmingly backed Ken Paxton over John Cornyn. But we also asked George whether Paxton's past could be a deal breaker with independent voters who decide elections.
When you have a candidate like Ken Paxton who's been on the ballot multiple times, on a statewide election, right? And he won handily in every single one of those. Then you look at his primary election with the 28-point victory. I mean, we haven't seen one of those in a very long time in Texas. So I don't think
those are Republican voters.
Those are Republicans, but
and you'll be asking independents to take a look at you.
Yeah,
now.
it kind of goes to everyone, right? They look at the policy at that point. They'll look at where the gas price at that point. That's going to be one of our problems.
Gas prices could be a problem for Republicans, along with inflation. But Tallarico now also on the defensive over comments he has made about God and gender, among other things. Still, though, that's something that state Democratic Party leader Kendall Scudder says he doesn't think it's going to stick.
No one's life is impacted by Ken Paxton drawing these statements out of context, okay? So he can do that. That's fine. We in the Democratic Party and James Tallarico's campaign are focused on solutions for families that are needing us. That's what government's supposed to be. I know everybody thinks it's just Hollywood for ugly people, but the truth is they're supposed to be solving people's problems and making people's lives better. And that's what we're going to be focused on here on the Democratic side of the aisle.
Both Scudder and George took our questions about the road to November. If you missed Inside Texas Politics, you can still stream it anytime. Download our free app, WFAA Plus, on your phone or there on your smart TV.
We're only 10 days out from the World Cup opening ceremony, and Mitty Hicks just got an inside look at the safety protocols in North Texas, including a futuristic security guard.
This robotic dog is Spot. It doesn't bark, but it does have eyes in the form of a camera. It's one of a few ways law enforcement is using technology for the largest sporting event of the year in Dallas. Spot is not scanning eyes. It's taking pictures for the more than 30 law enforcement agencies working together to keep fans safe across DFW.
It's going to be larger than what you would expect when you come to the Cowboys games.
These agencies include local, state, and federal officers, so expect to see a huge law enforcement presence. They'll be patrolling entertainment areas, Fair Park, and of course, AT&T Stadium. They won't always be in uniform because drug and human trafficking are the top priorities.
We know with events like this, human trafficking normally ticks up.
In addition to Spot, expect to see more drones in the sky because they're assisting officers. The FBI says it's stopping drone use near matches and fan areas with temporary flight restrictions.
The FBI and our law enforcement partners will not only investigate illegal drone activity, we will work with the United States Attorney's offices for the Northern and Eastern districts to support prosecutions.
With 9 matches, the DFW Metroplex is hosting more games than any other host city. But police say that will not stop them from responding to other emergencies.
I really want to drive this point home. If you need help and you call 911 during World Cup, Arlington police officers will be available to respond.
In Dallas, I'm Mitty Hicks.
It'll be a busy time in Texas, and those are your headlines from North Texas.